Hi, Brittany McKinney here doing our journal number 4 over competency 6, engaging with individuals, families, groups, organizations, and communities. So we're going to be looking at our advanced generalist competencies, and for this assignment, I will be going through how we're applying that competency within my practice and reviewing the rest of the questions for our journal. How does the assignment relate to your practice? So let's start by looking at competency 6, which is engaging with individuals, families, groups, organizations, and communities. This relates to my practice because we are a family practice. We see everybody from children to adults. We see families, we see, marriage counseling, individual, substance abuse, and we know oftentimes some of the underlying issues that an individual may come in for does kind of require a little bit of a holistic approach if we need to work with families or communities. Just as me being a case manager, I utilize this competency a lot by working within brokering between the organizations and communities and finding my people resources. Discussion of what you're doing in your practical and briefly describe what you've been doing in field. I've been doing a little bit of everything. We've been kind of looking at some food bank options to bring to our community, and then studying a little bit about EMDR practices, which is a little bit different than this competency, but that's just kind of what we've been working on the past few weeks. I think I have some training coming in January for something like that. What else have we been doing? Just doing a lot of compliance, documentation. I have some pro bono clients this week that I'm going to be working on doing, the initial biopsychosocials with and making sure my documentation is correct and in compliance with insurance and just all of that jazz. And what am I learning? I'm definitely learning the clinical aspect of social work. I had seen, some of the practices in office and especially when it comes to like billing and things, but I think I'm learning that like there's just a lot more than just like talking to somebody in a therapy session. And it's not just about like what you can bring to them in the therapy, but what can your practice holistically do to help this individual? Describe your strengths and your experiences. I think one of my strengths is my adaptability. Not a lot of things surprise me anymore. Just from being in recovery and, working in this field for 7 years. I think a strength that I have is I'm able to navigate some pretty heavy situations sometimes. That doesn't mean that it doesn't get taxing eventually, but I think as far as like crisis management, and problem solving, I'm really good at that. Have I had experiences that challenged me or helped me grow as a social worker in training? I have. This is kind of tailored more towards my case management. However, I know that I'm going to have to utilize these boundaries within practice. Just my people pleasing and my caretaking tendencies. I have a tendency to like want to fix everything and solve the problems. However, what I'm finding is by me putting my cape on and solving a problem, I'm not teaching my clients how to solve their own problems. So just slowing down, taking the patience and allowing myself to not need to be a savior and more of a teacher so I can help my clients in the long run. And I know that I'm gonna have to practice that. Like, I hear a lot of clinicians say their first year, they kind of bend over and like they want to meet their clients, and they change their schedule and they navigate all of these barriers, which I do think is necessary sometimes. But I would like to start implementing some healthy boundaries now so I don't get burnt out on my schedule. Discuss the feedback you've received during supervision and how you're using that feedback. My feedback's been going pretty well. Still, just talking about like on-time documentation, staying up to par with our treatment goals, updating our treatment plans. What are your thoughts and feelings related to the progress as a professional in training? I feel good. I feel confident that I'm learning the things that I need to do for my competencies. I know that there's some that I need to address after this next semester, which I'm hopeful that we have plenty of time to still address those things. And if not, we can navigate around those and change them as needed. What ADI practices have you observed in your agency? Provide examples. still we just serve a variety of people that suffer from different levels of maybe disabilities or even just like capabilities of how they can show up. And so I believe just treating people with equity and showing up on the same level of consistency that I will for client A that I will for client D. And the review of our current self plan. What have you done for self-care? Well, today I actually am working from home some. And so within that, I'm really trying to implement an hour a day to where I don't have my laptop open, I don't have my phone open. I can just sit still, whether it's going and eating a meal by myself or just spending some of that time in the quiet because I've found that I am a little burnt out at the end of the semester. And it's hard too because, clients around the holidays, they have a little bit of depression, and then I work with a lot of individuals in poverty, and so, them not having things for the holidays or people or things, it can get to you really mentally if I don't learn to separate that. What worked and what's a barrier obstacle? What works for me is I do need individual time. I find that I like to be home alone sometimes, in my safe zone, in my comfort spot to where I can just digress and though I could shut the world out. That works for me. However, a barrier that I've had with that is, my daughter had pneumonia and then I had pneumonia for a few weeks. I still sound stuffy, I'm sorry. And then I hurt my foot and it's like, basically just family duties and like life showing up. um, it's been a barrier, but also I've also had to learn that I need to be okay asking for help. And I've also had to learn that I don't necessarily know how to ask for help sometimes until I get very frustrated and I'm exasperated. So I am working on trying to think about like my needs before they arise so I can get more help from others. Do I anticipate any upcoming barriers to self-care? How will I overcome these obstacles? And what is your plan for self-care? I couldn't have anticipated this, but I do think that I've been going through some postpartum depression since I have a smaller baby and I'm pregnant again. You can never really say like how life is going to show up. So as far as like my mental health, I've still been, seeing my therapist weekly, and then I stay pretty open with my supervisor about, if I need to lower my caseload or if I'm just kind of struggling with the situation. Still, even whenever I'm not doing my best, I know it's up to par because that's just who I am. Success is very important to me as far as like meeting my goals. So I think just like giving myself some grace and being honest with the people around me, and like having trust that I've built a safe support system that we can walk through it. And then what is my plan for self-care emergencies? I think my plan would be to actually utilize a little more family help more than I have before. And I've actually had to do that a little bit lately with some of the health barriers that we've been having. And how will my plan change? My plan's definitely going to change next semester. As you know, we're having another baby. But a lot of it will still be the same because like the structure that I have right now is what I'm going to have to apply next semester. And so I'll keep what I need and leave what I don't. Um, And then how you track the progress of your self-care. I've said this like in my few journals, and I say it's like upon my spiritual conditioning. Also, I think like just judging by my level of burnout, like you can tell that when I stop taking care of myself in small ways, the little things get to me. Um, so I think just taking my inventory and being accountable to myself and staying strong with my boundaries and not bending to be a people pleaser, that can kind of help me stay on track a little bit more. I think that is it to answer my questions. I hope that you have a good holiday week and I'll see you soon.